Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Nell and I'm so excited to share my July 2021 garden tour with you guys. So I'm going to start by showing you my 6x4 garden bed, then we'll move on to the containers, the other raised bed, a special area of my garden that I've dedicated to my mom, and then I'm going to share a recipe with you. So first guys, this is the 6 foot by 4 foot garden that my husband and I built a little while ago. And in the corner, I've planted some beautiful cosmos. I really enjoy putting flowers in the corners of my garden bed just to make it look pretty and also to attract some pollinators to help the vegetables along. So there you see the cosmos. Right next to that, I have some green onions. And as you guys know, these green onions were grown from green onion scraps from the grocery store. Whenever we buy a bunch, when we're done using them, I just go ahead and stick the little root end here in the soil, and it never fails to give us a nice, healthy green onion plant. Next up is a Black Beauty zucchini. I've only put one in this square because I follow the square foot gardening method of planting, and so that dictates that you just put one squash per square foot. So that's why there's just one squash plant here. And next to that is another beautiful cosmos. I really like these flowers. They're so easy to take care of and they look very pretty. Directly behind the cosmos is just an empty square waiting for a tenant. And the next 3 squares are filled with curly kale, which is a great, delicious, very hearty leafy green. So easy to take care of. It tastes great. And so far, we have not experienced a lot of pest pressure on the kale. As you can see, the one in the front is very well used, and that's because my daughter's guinea pigs eat that almost every day. Next up, guys, I have some cucumbers. Now, these cucumbers are doing really, really well. They are a different variety than I grew last summer. Last summer, I grew a pickling cucumber, which is very odd because I don't pickle, at least not at this point in my gardening life, but one day I hope to. So as of yet, these green cucumbers are very tasty. They're very mild and they have a thin skin, so it's no problem to add them to a salad. So guys, I have, as you can see, about 6 cucumber plants here. Later on, I'm going to show you a very quick recipe using these delicious fruits. And again, there's another cosmos in the corner, and right behind that, I have some lettuce that I planted from seed as well as from transplants. Unfortunately, I believe that's called the oak leaf lettuce, and it looks like it's going to bolt soon. I have another square back there where I had attempted to plant cilantro seeds, but because of the temperature, they never did germinate. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that little marker and plant something else back there. And directly to the right of the cilantro seeds is that, I believe it's a Georgia collard, and I'm going to be removing that soon also just because I need the space. And as you can see, there's a lot of pests that are fighting me for that collard, and I'm kind of tired of dealing with them. So guys, that's the first garden bed. And next we're going to move on to the container garden. So in my container garden, I have a variety of vegetables and flowers that I didn't have last summer. As you can see, my trusty assistant is there guarding the spot for me. He's always outside whenever I'm outside. Now, the first thing I want to share with you is this beautiful Thai, I believe it's called a Thai Delight Bougainvillea. And as you can see, it is a lovely multicolored bougainvillea that just is doing really well for now in this spot. I do know that bougainvillea like a well-draining soil, so I'm not positive that it's going to do fantastic in this pot, but I'm going to give it a shot. My daughter actually purchased this one for me, and I was so happy because I thought it was a beautiful plant, but I didn't know if it was worth the price. So we found it at a lower price at a second nursery, and so she went ahead and got it for me. Here in Zone 10A, bougainvillea grows and blooms pretty much year round. I think it's a 3-season bloomer, and it's very, very pretty. Next to that, guys, I have a candy cane pepper, and I'm kind of looking forward to this one. It's a sweet pepper that has a variegated skin, just as the leaves are variegated. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what those peppers look like. And next to that, I have more rainbow chard, and these were planted from seeds. Rainbow chard, I've said so many times, is such a delicious vegetable, and it's very, very easy to grow. It's not picky. It doesn't need a lot of fertilizer. It doesn't seem to have a lot of special soil requirements. If you just sprinkle the seeds down, it will grow. And next to that, guys, is a particular tomato variety that I purchased on base because we are a military family. We sometimes shop on the military base, and they do have a garden center. So I purchased this transplant tomato plant a few weeks ago, and it seems to be doing well. If you can see those green tomatoes on there. But unfortunately, one thing I noticed is that their marker tags fade very quickly. So I have no idea what kind of tomato this is anymore. I'm just waiting for it to turn red, and then I'll pick it and we'll figure it out. So next to that, guys, is my Black Beauty zucchini. I remember last summer and spring or actually late summer, we had such a great zucchini crop that I decided to go ahead and plant more zucchini this year. So far I have just 2 plants, but I do hope to grow a lot more zucchini than I did last summer because it's such a versatile and delicious vegetable. We like to make zoodles out of it. We like to slice it and saute it in a skillet. There's so many ways you can prepare it. I like to add it to soup, so I'm looking forward to having a bumper crop of zucchinis this year. Next to that, guys, are some tomatoes. These are cherry tomatoes. I like to plant both cherry and the beefsteak type tomatoes because I prefer the cherry. My husband prefers the beefsteak for his salads. And guys, as I mentioned before, a part of my garden is dedicated to my mother. She passed away recently, and it was unexpected and it was very difficult. But I rescued this geranium from her balcony, and I'm trying to bring it back to life. As you can see, it doesn't look that great. However, I have hope that I have 2 green leaves on the plant, and I'm hoping that I can bring it back, and I will keep you guys updated about that. But as you can tell, that plant is very special to me, so I'm treating it very, very carefully. And next to that, guys, is a Japanese eggplant. I'm excited because I've never grown eggplant before. So it's interesting to watch how this plant is progressing. I come out every day and check and see if there are any flowers because I know after flowers comes the fruit. And sorry about the shadows, guys. It's that time of day. But right next to the eggplant is the ground cherry plant. The ground cherries are doing a little bit better than last year. Last year I grew the ground cherries in the raised garden bed, and it had a problem retaining water. At least that's what I can surmise from it. This time it's doing a little bit better. I have a lot more ground cherries on my plant. And this is an interesting plant that you don't want to pick the fruit off the plant. You just want to collect it from the ground after it's fallen off. Once it's fallen off the plant, you know that it's ripe and it's safe to eat and it's sweet. But while it's on the plant, it may be tart and just a little bit toxic. And up here on the ledge, guys, I have a couple of new plants I don't think I had last year. Let me start with the lime tree. Now, yeah, I've said it before in my video, I am no good with container trees. I keep trying and trying and trying, but this lime tree is just not doing well. I don't know what quite to do with it, but I maybe try to plant it in the soil and see what happens. Next to that is the stevia. The stevia is an amazing prolific grower, and the stevia leaves taste just like sugar with a little hint of maybe mint in there. It's kind of a different flavor. You do need to get used to it, but if you're looking for a sweetener with no carbs and no glycemic impact, stevia is your plant. Next to that is an aloe vera. This one, unfortunately, I just moved it to this location because where it was before in my backyard, it was getting too much water. So I'm hoping it's going to green up a little bit in the coming weeks. Now these are some of my transplants. I took some sunflower seeds from the sunflowers that I grew last year, and I went ahead and planted them in these peat pods. And as you can see, the sunflowers on the left are doing great. To the right, I have a variety of squashes, including patty pan and more zucchini that I'm really looking forward to finding a home for. And right there in the middle, guys, I have some moringa plants that I'm so happy to say finally sprouted. Here's my little strawberry patch. I have a couple of varieties of strawberry in here, including alpine, and I think it's the June-bearing strawberry. I do think I have too many plants in this small space, so I might need to thin it out. And as you can see, this strawberry plant's produced a runner, which I could cut off and plant somewhere else. I just don't have very much fertile soil in my yard. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of space to plant, which is why I mainly container garden. And there's more rainbow chard. And next to that is my lemon tree, which I'm trying to bring back to life. This tree was planted on the hillside and it was doing really poorly. So I removed it from the hill and placed it in this pot with some citrus soil. And it's doing so much better, guys. The leaves have turned from yellow to green. I have seen a few flower buds on here. So I don't know if I'll get fruit this year, maybe not. But I'm just happy that the plant is doing so much better. And now we'll move on to our very first raised garden bed that we built back in 2019. This one is about 6 feet by 3 feet wide. And you guys might remember this one. I recorded a video showing how we built it. I'll leave a link in the iCard above if anybody's interested. And this garden bed right now only has a beautiful pink geranium that I bought on clearance from Lowe's as one of my corner flowers. It also has a very large collard green plant there in the back, which I call it a monster collard green because I had no idea it was going to get so big, and a flat leaf parsley. So guys, after my mom passed, I actually went and bought some transplant for this bed. I bought squash, I bought crookneck squash, and I bought some orange bell peppers. But for some reason, they just were not doing well. I don't know if it's because I took too long to transplant them. I don't know if it was because I was just not paying attention to the watering schedule. But after about almost 2 months of remaining in this bed, they were stunted. They literally had not grown. So I went ahead and removed them. And what I plan to do here is just go ahead and amend the soil and let it rest for a little while. And hopefully when I do my next gardening tour, I will have some new vegetables to show you. Now, luckily, the shade cast by the collard green leaves is protecting that parsley back there. But I am pretty sure that as it starts getting hotter, that parsley will have to be removed because most likely it's going to bolt. Now, guys, I want to take you to a very special part of my garden. If you've been with me for a while, you know that this used to be a succulent garden. But over time, it slowly turned into another vegetable patch. So I've decided to dedicate this area to my mom in honor of a delicious holiday meal that we had one year, a couple years ago. And that night we had black-eyed peas, we had sweet potatoes, we had collard greens, and we had pork chops. And it was the whole family was there, and it was just a very lovely evening. So I don't eat pork chops anymore, but I still eat the rest of those things I mentioned, and I went ahead and planted them here. So I want to share this area with you. It's dedicated to my mom, and I'm doing my best to keep everything healthy and growing strong, including that volunteer tomato over in the corner, which I'm going to share with you in a minute. So guys, my mom and I had talked about traveling and visiting Africa. And this plant there in the background is actually a plant that's native to Africa and South America, I believe. And the previous owners of the house left it here, but I decided to keep it in this area just because of that memory that I had with my mom of talking about traveling to Africa. So that's going to stay. And right in front of that, guys, I have a cherry tomato. I believe this is a super sweet 100. And down there in the soil, guys, I have black-eyed peas. So I realized that you can grow black-eyed peas from black-eyed peas that you grow at the grocery store. So I went ahead and planted them here according to the square foot gardening method, which I believe is 9 peas per square foot. And I'm excited to see how these fill in and how tall they get. Right next to the peas, I do have another geranium because my mom did like geraniums. And this is a red geranium in this blue pot here. Next to that, guys, I have another tomato plant. This is an indeterminate cherry tomato variety. I'm really looking forward to this one. Behind the cherry tomatoes, you see some purple, I believe they're petunias. They're petunias because I like purple. Every year I try to incorporate some purple in my garden. And here, guys, we have one cilantro plant, which is being shaded by the tree collard. Hopefully that'll survive the summer, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And this is a beautiful tree collard that I ordered from Project Tree Collard online, which is based in Berkeley, California. Originally, I ordered 3 last year, but the gophers stole 2 of them. So all I have left is this one, but it seems to be doing well. It's about 5 feet tall now. And this is the volunteer tomato plant. These are yellow pear tomatoes, I believe they're called. And last year I grew them on another side of the yard in a pot, in a garden bed. And I remember saying I didn't want to grow these again because the flavor to me was just lacking. They're very, very pretty, but they don't have such a great flavor. But you know what, guys? This volunteer plant, actually produces tomatoes that taste better than the ones that I bought at the store last year. So I'm going to leave it here and see how it does. This plant is about almost 6 feet tall now, so it's really, really vigorous. And behind that yellow pear tomato, there's also another geranium pot because my mom really does like geraniums. So guys, I hope that as each month passes and I do future garden tours, I hope to be able to share with you the progress of this area in particular, as well as my containers. So now we're moving on to the far left side of the yard, which is a combination of composting and various things, whatever I can fit over here. So what you see here is just a volunteer lantana. We have lantana growing up on the hillside, and I'm thinking that a bird probably deposited that seed right there. So now we have a little bit right there. And next to that, guys, these are potatoes. So I've been having a lot of fun growing potatoes in pots. It's fun to watch the leaves grow, and it's even better to harvest the potatoes. So I decided to drop some in this area and see how they did. These are not ready to harvest yet, but they still are growing quite well. And next to those, I have 2 pepper plants. These are bell peppers. They're short and stocky, but they are doing a lot better than the ones that were in the first garden bed that I mentioned that I had to remove. I had a little bit of coconut coir laying around the garden, so I just decided to use that as mulch in this area. Next is my really quick garden bed that I built out of fence boards and 2x4s. And again, we have a couple more chard plants because chard is just great. I love it, and you need quite a bit of it to produce a side dish for dinner. So I grow it in several different areas, and then when we want chard, I just come and chop it down. I don't know if that's a volunteer strawberry, but that's what it looks like. And here are a few dinosaur kale plants. Dinosaur kale is really good. Some people in my family actually like it better than curly kale, and they put it in their smoothies. And as you can see, we got some seed pods forming on this particular plant. It has bolted, but the great thing about the bolting is that the seeds are coming. So those are the seed pods. I'll probably let those dry on the plant and then harvest those to plant when it gets cool again. And here we have it's kind of an experimental mulch that I'm working with. It's actually seaweed. So I harvested some seaweed from our last trip to the beach, and I just wanted to see how it would do as a mulch here. And it's doing a very good job of retaining the moisture, even better than the wood shavings in my other 2 planter boxes. Now here's what's left of my basil. Unfortunately, that is going to flower. I did take off a couple of sprigs and attempt to propagate them inside the house. That didn't work too well. And they're still right in the forefront. And here to the right, we have a couple more potato plants. I don't think I mentioned that the potato or the seed potatoes that I used were like a mixed variety. So some are red, some are purple, and I think some are white. So it's going to be a mystery as to which kind each plant is going to produce, but hopefully we'll find out soon. Here's one more of my discounted pink geraniums that I got. I just went ahead and put it in this pot. And here in this big green pot, we have baby beets. I'm so excited about these beets because I really do enjoy beets on salads as well as juice. So as you can see, there are a couple volunteer tomato plants in here, which I might have to remove. I don't think that they can do well with all of these beets in here also. But it's always interesting to see what just pops up in your garden from season to season. The beets are looking good. Before I get started making this delicious drink, I want to thank you for watching. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel, Home Sense with Nell. Here I like to talk about home decor, DIYs, and gardening, all on a budget. If that's your thing, please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to meet you. So here in San Diego, we have a lot of Mexican influence in our food and drink, and a delicious beverage that we like to enjoy in the summertime is called agua fresca. So agua fresca is basically like a fresh water that's flavored with fruits or citrus and sometimes mixed with a little bit of mint and some sweetener. So I'm going to show you how I make one of my favorite versions, which is the cucumber lime version. So what I do is I take the juice of one lime, and I go ahead and peel and chop one cucumber. And don't forget, you can save these peels and put them in your compost pile, so nothing's wasted. Next, you're going to chop that up into small pieces. The first piece was for the chef, of course. Now I added about 3 cups of water here, and I added my 1 cucumber, my small handful of mint, and about 2 teaspoons of sugar to taste. Of course, you can always add more sugar like my son likes. You can add stevia powder, you can add Splenda or agave. It's up to you. I'm really enjoying this NutriBullet. It makes preparing smoothies and shakes so much easier. I used to have a big tabletop blender, but I haven't pulled it out since I got this NutriBullet. And I blend that for just a few seconds. And what you have is a very delicious and refreshing drink full of nutrients and hydration. You've got to try it, guys. If you do, please leave me a comment and let me know how you liked it. Now, if you like, you can strain this before serving, but I don't because I like to make fruit and vegetable smoothies so the pulp doesn't bother me at all. And it's pretty well emulsified, as you can see. The most important thing is to remember to serve it over ice and garnish it and enjoy. So thanks for visiting my channel, Home Sense with Nell. I hope to see you next time.